Good morning. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people of the Kulin Nations, who are the traditional custodians of the land. I would like to extend that acknowledgement to their elders past, present and emerging, and to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders who may be watching today. Sovereignty was never ceded. It always was and always will be Aboriginal land. And happy end of NAIDOC Day, NAIDOC week, woo! So my name is Miss Cairo. My pronouns are she, her, and this is the 9th edition of Conversations with Miss Cairo. I am a light brown skinned woman, and I am wearing we're going to say tanned, but for my skin color, it's not, a slip dress thing. I have a medium brown coloured afro. I'm sitting on a green chair with some pink roses. There's a beige curtain behind me, which is drawn. And there's a fireplace with dark bricks with some white painted wood, and a few trinkets and photographs of nondescript things on the mantelpiece. So it's been 3 weeks, I think, since I last did this. I had a little 2-week break, which was really imperative for my mental health. We also had a very busy time with the people of Cabaret. We launched our Melbourne Fringe show. If you didn't catch it on last Thursday, you can catch it this Tuesday and the following Tuesday, and we might be releasing some new dates as well. We also had our Darlinghurst Theatre Company residency open, I think not last week, the week before. And we have our last show tonight, which is sold out, but we've had a really successful run. In this pandemic, we have managed to provide jobs for, I think, over 70 artists of colour, which is pretty good going considering. So it's been a stressful 3 weeks, and I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about my capacity. It was very touch and go at a few places, but I'm really glad that I've come out the other end of it. And in retrospect, me as an individual, as a person, did incredibly under the amount of stress that I was under. So yeah, I just want to honor my what's the word? Accomplishments. Lockdown is almost lifted, and coming into a new COVID normal. The weather is much better. I got to see loads of friends yesterday and meet new people, which is beautiful. So yeah, things are well, considering. Yeah. How are you going? Obviously, you can comment in the on Facebook or on YouTube, and I can see the comments, and we can have a little conversation that way. But yeah, get involved. Do you know what? I think we might just bring our guest on now. Normally, I chat for ages, but everything's going great. Everything's fine. Yeah, just make sure you follow the people of Cabaret and find out when our Melbourne Fringe dates are. There we go, little plug there. So I'm going to bring out this week's guest, who is incredible, and I'm so excited to have him on. I've known this person for the last 3 months in meetings, and I've just been nothing but blown away and impressed by this person. So, proud Wiradjuri man, Jarrod Draper is the first Indigenous graduate from the music theatre course at WAPA. Jarrod also earned a full scholarship to the Regional Conservatorium to study music theatre and classical voice, and was recently seen in the sold-out production of Catch Me If You Can in Sydney, and was set to take to the stage this year in Sondheim on Sondheim in Brisbane, and When the Rain Stops Falling in Melbourne. So normally when I'm on stage, we whoop, holler and cheer as we bring on our guests. However, we are online at the moment until the foreseeable future. So wherever you may be watching, on your phones, in your bed, in your kitchens, in your bathroom, on the toot, please give a massive round of applause for Jarrod Draper.
Hey,
Oh my God, hi, babes.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So happy to see your face.
Yours too. And such a pretty
Real.
face it is.
Oh, oh God. I don't know about that. I was literally looking at myself in the camera before going, yowza.
Oh my
Yikesy.
God, shut up. It's gorgeous.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? What's been going
Good.
on?
Um, Not much. Not much, as you know. No, it's things are starting to pick up now. I was in Orange for like the whole of COVID because that's where my parents live, and that's kind of where I grew up. So I went back there after 10 years of not living at home and then spending X amount of time there. It was really lovely. Like, it was awesome. And because my family and I were super close, my siblings and my parents. So it was nice to have some quality time with them and all that jazz. And then I just came back to Sydney 2 weeks ago because things started to happen again. So I was like, why not come back? So
Yay.
yeah, and just enjoying the sunshine and yeah, really just living life again as much as you can.
Oh my God, how are you finding Sydney? Like, what's the navigation like for the new COVID
Um,
normal? And
it's it's quite easy if I'm honest.
Mm.
And I feel bad saying that because of all my friends and pals in Melbourne. But well, I guess because I was in Orange for so long, and Orange was still kind of like functioning, if you will,
Mhm.
because it's a country town, and I think there was only like maybe 5 cases of COVID in the beginning, and then it kind of went away. So, and we live out of town, so I had like fresh air and lots of room, which I was very lucky. But then coming back to Sydney 2 weeks ago, I think it's interesting because nothing really essentially has changed for me except for when you check into restaurants and stuff with the code, how you hold your camera up to that. Except that, because there's people everywhere. I was just saying to you earlier, I went to the beach yesterday and it was probably the most people I've ever seen on a beach in my entire life.
Mm.
Which I sent a picture on Instagram to a couple of friends, some of which that were in Melbourne, and they were like, "That is anxiety inducing." And I was like, "I get that," but yeah, it's relatively normal, if you will, like COVID safe and normal and functioning. So that's good. I didn't want to come back here unless it was kind of things were moving, so there wasn't really any point, you know. But yeah, it's COVID has been okay for me, and I know I'm very much an isolated incident in that because I was lucky I got to go somewhere to my family home in the country and kind of escape all the hustle and bustle. So I'm grateful for it. Grateful for that experience because I mean, if I had to stay in Sydney, I don't know how I would have coped, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
Do you live on your own in Sydney?
no, so I live with my brother and
Yeah.
then another mate of mine who is in the year below me at Whopper. But they're both Reese, my brother. We went home at the same time. So as soon as COVID hit, I actually had a bag packed and I was ready to fly to Brisbane. But it was literally that day everything started shutting down. So the flight was cancelled. You couldn't fly out. So I was like, I got a bag packed. And then my brother just packed a bag and we went home to Orange. And I thought we were just going to be there for like 2 weeks. But it turns out we were there for a very long time, which is okay. It's fine. I enjoyed it, and we had our dogs and all the animals there on the farm, so it was awesome. But yeah, Reese, my brother, he came home with me then, and he still is staying at home because he's in uni at the moment, and it's all online. No one's really gone back to full-time classes, so I guess he'll just stay there saving money until next year probably, which is smart. And then my housemate, who's a wonderful guy, he is doing Oklahoma in Perth at Black Swan.
Oh, with Vicky.
So, I know. So I was stoked for him because it's his first gig, his first professional show, and it's still got to go ahead. And so thrilled that they're over there killing it. So yeah,
I'm so jealous that I can't go watch Oklahoma.
I know, right? One of my best friends, she's also in it. She's playing. I can't remember the names of the characters. The female lead, even though there's two female leads now, but the actual
Emily.
And the other girl, the love interest. That's one of my best friends. Her name's Steph. I just can't remember the character's name. But yeah, so I have lots of friends over there killing it, and it's great to see. It's awesome to see your friends able to do what they love, especially when it was all taken away from them. So very exciting.
I can't wait until I can see. Obviously, we've just done our Darlinghurst residency, which I think you might have a sold out showing tonight.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I'm thrilled. I'm excited for it. It's when Dean asked me, he approached me to do it. I kind of said, okay, I'll do it, but I'm not doing any theatre. I don't want to go down that route. I was like, okay, I'll do songs that I love, because I always say to everyone, my music taste is so eclectic, so eclectic. My playlist will be like, you could be listening to like a country number, and then next like Pavarotti will start singing. It's just like, it's such a journey, and everything kind of in between. So I said, why not do that? And that's what I enjoy, and that's what I listen to, and I enjoy like all types of music. So I was like, I'm going to sing songs that are not theatre, because I've done that for so long. And I feel like it also gives it a bit of an insight into Jarrod, if you will, through those songs. And it's songs from my childhood that I listened to, that my parents played on road trips and just at home around the house. And then I just wanted to kind of pair that and have a yarn and have a really chill, like kind of conversation with people, so they learn a bit more about Jarrod. And yeah, so I'm excited. It'll be super chill and super fun and all that kind of stuff, but nice to be back in front of people. So I'm thrilled. Thank you for asking me to do it.
We're so honoured to have you on board with that. And it's beautiful that we get to kind of showcase cabaret in a different setting. Like, obviously, when we met in the circumstances that were,
yes,
that shall not be named.
Yes, that old thing.
We obviously had like an influx of interest from people who were part of musical theatre, and I don't think people really understand what cabaret is and how it crosses over in so many different areas of performing arts. So to have an amazing, incredible musical theatre artist doing a cabaret show just really emphasises like the ingenuity and innovation of cabaret, and that it's a platform for authenticity and honesty and us to tell our own stories.
Well, that's exactly right, and I think that's what I'm finding the most fruitful about it, is that I keep saying to people, it's Jarrod as Jarrod, not Jarrod playing a character on the stage. So that's why I find it. I'm not really nervous as such about it, because nothing can really go wrong, because it's my story. You know what I mean? And I can do as I will. And like you said, that's authentic to me. And so I'm really excited, and I have never done it before. I've never done anything kind of like it. And working on it, I've been like, yeah, maybe I would like to do this as an actual thing. You know, it would be nice to develop a show, and in the off moments when you don't have work, create your own work and have your own show and work on that. So it's definitely a starting point for me, and hopefully all goes well tonight. But like I said, nothing can really go wrong, because it's like my words, my story. So whatever, it is what it is.
Platform. It's your time. Like, as long as the audience are enjoying it, who gives a crap what happens?
Exactly
That's
right.
when I just tend to get naked, and I'm like, "You're welcome. Where do I go from here?"
Yeah, here we go. Love that. Right up.
That's so exciting, and also as well, like, we're all here for you to develop the show if you want to in the future. Like, we have your back.
Amazing. I'm thrilled. That's been the best thing out of this year, is like, from all the kind of travesties that have happened, the community of people of color, especially, creating opportunities for one another. That's something I've never experienced before. Well, obviously, because it's never really happened. So that for me has been life-changing, and to be you know, still kind of young and starting out my career, that is going to be a total game changer for me in the long run. You know, having and the moments that happened, I think I said to you last night when we were on the phone, the moments that happened, I felt like they happened for a reason, to propel us forward into what we're doing now. And it was kind of, those were examples of kind of how bad the situation was that we were in. And it was us using those examples to move forward and go, well, this is what we want to do. This is what we need. This is what we need to change, all that kind of stuff. So it's been so fulfilling amongst all the chaos and the trauma and reliving all that kind of stuff. It's also nice leaving that behind and coming into a sense of belonging, if you will. You know, it's because far too often, you know, people of color aren't that. This industry is predominantly white, and that's kind of a fact. It just is, and especially in music theatre, especially you know what we see on the stage,
middle class,
exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right. And so, rarely do we ever see on the stage that rarely ever reflects what is actually happening in real life and what we see on the streets and the plethora of people that are on the streets. You know, it's usually completely whitewashed. And the one thing that really also frustrates me is that when an Australian show is put on the stage, on the main stage, it does the same thing. It perpetuates stereotypes. It's predominantly cast with a predominant white cast. With your tokenistic things here and there. But that's one thing that kind of frustrates me, because I go, well, that's not the stories that need to be told. That's not what we should be seeing on that main stage. And so music theatre is hard. It's a difficult thing to navigate, and especially being Indigenous. I keep saying to everyone, all my role models growing up on the stage were white men. And never have I seen an Indigenous man lead a main stage company, so lead it. And so I was like, well, that's what I want to do. And I want to be that example for other Indigenous kids, you know, to go, that I can do that. That's me. That's, you know, there is room for them here and there's space for them here. And this is an option for a career if they love to do it, you know, because, and I guess all the things that kind of have happened have given me a higher purpose, if you will. Like, I love to sing and dance and act, and I love to be on the stage and tell stories and all that kind of stuff. It's my love, but it's also given me a higher purpose in terms of it's not just about that for me anymore. It's not about booking the role and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, you know, people aren't going to remember the roles and the shows that you did. It'll be what you did as a person, what your legacy was, what you wanted to change, what you left behind. And so I think these moments have been crucial for me, and I have worked out that for me it's about creating opportunities for the people who need them and the stories that need to be told. And so that's kind of what I'll continue to do, and that's what I'm fighting to do. And hopefully, and it's nice as a young person to get that quite early as a kind of, you know, your artistic statement, if you will, and kind of figure that out and run with it. So I'm excited about the future, and I feel like I'm finally living authentically as Jarrod, like fully authentically. You know, I'm able to step into my power as an Aboriginal man and be recognized for that. Yeah. And it's also been really interesting because for me, I've always said I want to be recognized for who I am as a person. I would rather people go, oh, he's a good mate, he's a good friend, he'll turn up, you know what I mean? Then I could care less if they talk about the shows and the roles and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to make my name that way. Yeah. I would rather be known for the person that I am. And so this year and this moment has been nice because that started to happen for me, in terms of living authentically as Jarrod and being recognized for being Jarrod. Yeah. So I'm thrilled about that, because I always thought it would happen in the opposite way, because usually it does, but there was no industry for it to happen, you know? So usually you make your name in a show and then the opposite happens, and then you kind of
Be like, oh, you're a good person as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's nice. It's really, really wonderful to have the opposite happen and kind of be Jarrod and and enjoy that and live that. So yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I think we're coming to really exciting times. Like, I'm a little bit older than you, and it's really nice that I can kind of provide, the next generation kind of the tools to set up from my mistakes or from my experiences.
Totally.
In a way, like, I remember the generation above me was really disenfranchised, and I was just like, well, that doesn't solve anything. Like, just because this is the way things have been happening, like, doesn't mean like we can change it. And there was so much this thing this year where we all just came together. It was I realized that my space was to continue that legacy of encouragement and not kind of buy into what the generation above me has done and maybe let me to believe. And it's funny, like I'm technically quite new and emerging in elements of my own career. Especially moving over to so-called Australia, being like, hi, no one really knows me over here, but I'm an international sensation. And having to, like, even for me as a trans woman of color in the industry, I'm realizing now I've kind of gone up to the next level, that there's so many other things that I'm having to navigate, which I didn't beforehand, because I was this like young brown activist being like, F the system. Who get work? And I'm like, oh, I do want work, but like I'm not not happy with the standard of work that we've got to, or the standard of things that we've got to go through to get the same quality of life as everyone else. And I think we've all just sat there and gone, screw this. Like, why are we rehashing the same things?
Yeah, and I find that that's so empowering. But the fact that we had to wait this long, I guess, is a terrible thing. But it's also empowering that I feel like young people of color especially, are stepping into their power and now using their voices that have been silenced for so long. And that, to me, is one of the most encouraging things, because it also is, I feel like there's a shift in terms of like my generation in theatre, if you will, with not just people of color, but, our white counterparts we're all kind of coming together in this moment, and we're kind of shaping the industry into what we want it to be. So it's kind of literally, I feel like we're pivoting in a way because of the shift in generations. And I guess that also is a testament to you guys and what you do and yourself, and the encouragement that you provide for young people to know that their voice is valid, and to know that they can stand up against injustices without the fear of, losing a job or XYZ.
But I think it's because the power has shifted now. And I think people have realized that we don't have to be going, oh, please, sir, can I have some more, like, crumbs off the top? Like, we are the ones that make we're hustlers at the end of the day. We're the ones that make the opportunities. We're the ones that make the work. We know that it's all about collaboration. We know it's about, it's not a top-down process. But, we've been led to believe, and the generation before us believe that is, the way things should be, and the right way of things. But this generation have just come in and with so much vigor, being like, nah, there's a better way of doing it. And quite beautifully actually going, there's a better way of doing it. We don't know what it is, but let's find it. And that's the key. It's not going, well, here's another solution. It's actually just acknowledging how broken these problems are, and that we just need to be looking at the way we're trying to fix it, as opposed to just band-aiding it all the time.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's, I keep saying, having a conversation can solve so many things. I feel like everything can kind of be solved with a conversation, whether you agree to disagree. I feel like there's always some kind of resolution, if you will, by opening up a conversation about these type of things. So I feel like that is such a starting point, and the fact that these conversations are becoming the norm in this industry, especially, and people aren't afraid to call out injustices.
Mhm.
That's fulfilling, and it does make me hopeful that when theatre fully returns, it will be a different place for all. We'll see much more diverse theatre across all boards of diversity. So like, people of color, disability, gender, all that kind of stuff. So I feel like there's going to be a big shift. So in a way, I'm kind of grateful for 2020 and all the travesties that have kind of happened. I'm kind of grateful that we had the time to sit down and really process all this kind of stuff, because I feel like if life was still going, it wouldn't have the same impact, because people were literally forced to sit and think about it, and to really come to terms with the way they felt about the situation and what they were going to do moving forward. There was just really no other option. You couldn't mask it with going out and hanging out with friends and all that kind of stuff. It was, you have to address this. So I'm kind of thankful for 2020 in that regard. And I very much I'm a person that goes, everything kind of happens for a reason, and that's it brings you to where you need to be. And that, I guess, spiritual, if you will, but that's only really kind of happened in the past 2 years. And I very much think everything was out of balance. You look at 2020 and you go, okay, it started with the bushfires, and then COVID, Black Lives Matter, all that kind of stuff. I feel like everything was out of line. And I feel like it was a sign, in a way, that once one thing is out of whack, everything is kind of out of whack. So the world was in quite a terrible place. So I feel like this year has been a big shift for a lot of people, and going forward in 2021. And like I was just saying to you before, I feel like 2021 is going to be different, and I touch wood as I say it. But I feel like it looks like it's on the up. And I think a lot of great things have happened this week that have been really promising, obviously with the US election and that shift. I feel like the whole world just kind of had a sigh of relief when that happened.
I think there's just such a thing of empowerment that's happened, because I think those who are in control or in power at the top have been so scared that if they lose that power, then everything's going to go, tits up.
Totally.
But I think people are beginning to realize that you listen to the marginalized and the disenfranchised, and we're often the ones that are really inclusive. And it's not like we're trying to just take back everything they've taken away from us. It's going, let's share this. Let's actually we're not trying to tip the balance. I mean, some people are, and I'm fully behind that if that's what needs to happen. Totally. But at the same time, I feel like generally people are like, no, we're not. We're actually not asking for the world. We're just asking for more space in the world.
Exactly.
And people are realizing that, we can do this, and it doesn't take anything away from me. In actual fact, that it's going to help. It's going to better all of us as a society, or as an industry, and it's because we've had time to actually think about the ways that benefits more people, and and because I think we've been running so fast up this hill without any space to think about what it is we need, and we're just clambering at anything that's in our reach. Like, we'll go out and get drunk, we'll go out and do this, we'll get Donald Trump as a prime minister because that's the best way, we'll do this, we'll do that, and I'm just trying to find constant quick fixes, and it's like that's not what it is. And this COVID has been the great leveler, I think. And obviously there's been a lot of marginalized communities that have been massively affected by COVID. But I think we've created with those marginalized communities who haven't been as affected in such a drastic way, like, have that space to provide for other people, and
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's there's definitely, you can feel there's a, when you walk outside, there's a different kind of quality of air outside. It feels lighter. Yeah, okay. It feels lighter, if you will, walking outside, and hopefully COVID eventually goes away and we can return to some sort of normal life. But I keep saying to people, like,
against that. I'm like, I don't want to go back to normal.
Really?
What we're getting away from. Yeah, like, I'm
Yeah.
so there was moments in COVID when I've been like walking down the street and been like, oh my God, all these brown people out. This is amazing. Hi, friends.
Yeah.
And obviously now lockdown's lifted. I'm like, oh, majorly white people who are going out to restaurants because they can afford it and because and I'm like, all right, cool. This is still there's still problems here.
Yeah.
And I'm so, you know, I was going to save this for our private thing, but I'm doing it now because it needs to be public. Like, just because you're like things have been lifted and think everyone's happy, like it doesn't mean that people still aren't suffering.
Exactly.
So, you know, people have got to understand their privilege, that they can go out and do these things. They can go out and enjoy, you know, they have the means and the money to do that because they have that privilege. And they've, like, why run back into the arms of what was happening before, where it's every man and woman for themselves? Like,
totally. Yeah, totally. I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, I hadn't even thought of it that way. That's but a very important perspective on the situation, because you're exactly right. I think it's been a year of recognizing your privilege, and also, you know, realizing that the system does benefit you in whether it is something simple like being able to go out for dinner, or whether it is, you know, being an Indigenous person in Australia, being a Black person in Australia, being a minority in Australia. You know, the system is kind of against you. It's built against you, because I say this often because it's important that, you know, Australia was built on a genocide. That's kind of the foundation of the country, and that's the system that has been built is white, and it excludes people of color, and especially the First Nations people of this country. So you're exactly right. Thinking about the people that are still suffering in this moment is very important. And to kind of check yourself sometimes. It's something I always say to people, like, I think you want to check yourself in that moment. Just like make sure you're in tune with, you know, where the world is, and make sure you're thinking like this, not like that.
Yeah, it's about holding people accountable. And I think, you know, specifically with like I stand with the quarter, you know, things that we're doing at the People of Cabaret, it's actually like, all right, cool. It's great that we can have these conversations, but what are you doing after this? It's like, I go to therapy every couple of weeks because the government has made it free and it's great. And I tell everyone, like, go to therapy. It's great if it works for you. And I also say to people, like, it's not about the work that you do in the sessions, it's the work that you do outside of the sessions on yourself, which change your structure. And people need to be thinking about that. It's not about, oh, I'm just going to have a cute chat with an Indigenous person or like a trans person or whatever. Like, and then I'm like the best like ally ever. It's like, okay, how are you acknowledging the stolen land that you're on? How are you paying the rent? Are you, you know, how are you changing your infrastructure? And I just don't want people to kind of run back into what was happening.
Totally.
But just for, you know, it's been demonstrated that, like, actually the majority of us are pretty safe. And in regards to like government finances and things like that, you know, I'm not an economist, but I'm like, well, if you've been able to support us for 8 months, I'm pretty sure you can find money in the future to house the homeless. And
exactly
right. What are we doing here? And you know, taxing the rich. And sorry, I'm going on my soapbox here, but it's like, how are we changing things from
exactly
now? You know, it's great that we've had 8 months off, but like the change continues.
Well, exactly right. And it's I say to people often, you know, being an ally it's a verb. It's an active thing. You have to constantly, it has to be active all the time. You have to really be actively wanting to learn, actively wanting to listen, seeking out on your own information, and not. I'm okay having conversations with people about like these topics. And that's just, I guess, my nature as a person. I like to have a conversation, and I like to allow space for people to grow and listen and absorb information that they wouldn't necessarily have before. But I know that a lot of people, it is strenuous and it's a lot of hard work, and it is that. So you also have to be cautious about, even if they are your friend, approaching a big conversation like this,
Mhm.
and wanting them to give you all the answers. You have to make sure that you have put in the effort to get as many answers yourself before you then resort to a conversation as large as that.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's constantly active, and I say to everyone, it's not this isn't just a tick a box and move on. There's no box to tick. There's literally like it's a continuing thing that we're going to have to work at for. I feel like there's change happening, but there won't be huge significant change, I feel like, until the older generations kind of move on, and it's, I guess, our generation in charge, which will be our entire lifetime of fighting for equality, so it'll be strap in, put your seatbelt on, and continue. Charge on.
I think that's a perfect note to end on there as well. Charge on.
Yeah, keep charging on. I love
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. We're going to go into a little private room and have a continue the conversation, which people might be able to access in the future. But I'm so grateful for you coming on. I'm so proud. I'm so excited for your career. So gutted I can't watch you in person tonight, but I will find a way.
Soon. We'll be together soon.
Oh, and also, I haven't even done this. Congratulations on becoming an AOC finalist.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thrilled about that.
In the next
yes,
thing.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. I love speaking to you. It's always. I was saying to my mum the other night when we were at dinner, it's so exciting to have exciting conversations with exciting people. And talk about things, talk about the world, and talk about things that are important, and not that kind of petty nonsense. So it's lovely, and I'm very grateful. So thank you for having me.
Pleasure. All right, my love. I'll see you in a moment. Oh my God, Jarrod's so beautiful. Absolute honor to have him on today. And you're all welcome that you got to witness that beautiful conversation. Now, saying that, this is actually the last episode of Conversations with Miss Cairo. It's been absolutely fantastic, and I've felt really supported by the team here at Antipodes. But for me, I need to focus on live performance work again. Obviously, with lockdown shifting, things are changing again, and I've got to balance out kind of what my energy is, and again, what I want to focus on. So, I mean, there's definitely going to be conversations with Miss Cairo again in the future, but it might be in a bit more of a live capacity. But I'm always here for conversations. I'm always here for conversations with my community. Always there for a fee for conversations about changing the world with people who are not people of color or part of my communities. You can always check out the consult via thepeopleofcabaret.com, which we're still working on at the moment, by the way. So it's been an absolute honor and a pleasure. And I hope that everyone continues to focus on self-care and self-love and look at their self-worth and their self-esteem, and continue changing the world in such a glorious way. Congratulations to my fellow Victorians for doing an incredible job, staying in, locking themselves down, and getting through this together. And I think that's actually one of the things that we need to maintain and remember coming forward from this lockdown, is that we can change the world together. We can make this a safer space and a safer world for each other. And we can listen to people that know what they're talking about, i.e. scientists. Thank you so much. There's the podcast. I think there might be a podcast. Who knows? Maybe. But all of the private conversations I've been having with my guests will be available in some capacity. So make sure you follow Antipodes Theatre Company to find out more about that. Also, make sure that you can donate to the virtual seasons for Antipodes. They've been doing an incredible job getting artists paid during this lockdown, creating opportunities for artists, and they are an incredible company to work alongside and with and for. And I am very grateful for this relationship that has budded over COVID. So a special shout out to Melissa and Brandon from Antipodes, to Chloe Towan, who did the graphics design, and my partner, Greg Dennis, who did the photography of me. So that's, yeah, thank you. And thank you to the audience who have been participating and joining in and watching after and sending lovely comments. And I also want to thank myself for stepping into the roles of a presenter when that was not on the agenda at the beginning of this lockdown, but I'm grateful that I've learned this new skill, and it's something that I could possibly develop further in the future. So if there's anyone that wants to mentor me out there, hi, pretty Miss Cairo, just get in contact. So yeah, thank you so much. Repeat this after me. I am kind. I am beautiful. I am fabulous. I am amazing. Yay! Thank you so much, and stay safe and look after each other.